y'all, it's Angela here against Chicken Coop, and the other day I harvested all my onions, and I had 2 5-gallon buckets of onions that I harvested. I brought them in and I trimmed the roots off of them, and I cut the tops off of most of them. I still have some right here that I left the tops on them. Now, for me, because it's so humid here in East Texas and it's so hot, I do not have a good place to store my onions that will keep them for the long haul. My onions do not, I've tried all sorts of different ways. I've tried putting them in newspaper and under my house because it's really cool underneath my house. I've tried putting them in like pantyhose or mesh bags. I've tried hanging them from the stems, all sorts of things, and nothing really works for the long haul of saving my onions, storing my onions. So for what I do, I don't want to waste all the hard work and everything that I did to grow these onions, and I really use these onions all throughout the year. So what I do, if you were going to try to store your onions, you would kind of refer back to my garlic video, because my garlic video, storing my garlic and storing onions is about the same thing. You would let them dry, pick them on a day that it hasn't rained in a while so they're the driest that they're going to be, that kind of stuff. But refer back to my video and it'll kind of show you how to store, when to pick your garlic, how to store your garlic, and it's the same principle for onions if you want to try that. But for me, it just doesn't work very well for my onions. It works great for my garlic, but not for my onions. So what I'm going to do today is show you what I do to store my onions. So some of the things that I have, and I've done different ways of this, is I have snack bags. I have snack bags. Now these are just the cheap version of snack bags. And somebody's going to tell me, you know, well, that's not very good in your freezer. But the reason why I do this, because this kind of makes like a single serving for when I cook. And so this would be about the equivalent of cutting up a small onion for cooking. So that's why I use these baggies here. So I use these snack bags. The second thing I use is freezer bags, and I use quart bags because they fit. I have little baskets inside my freezer to kind of help organize my freezer, and the quart bags fit really nicely inside those baskets. So what I do is I'll take these onions, chop them up, fill these baggies, and then place these baggies inside my freezer bags and label them and put them in my freezer. And that way, when I go to cook, I can go to these bags, use the one that's dated, you know, the latest, pull out some onions, and then I have the amount of onions that I need for cooking. So I've done different ways. I have chopped them all up by hand. Believe it or not, people, you can do that. Your hand and chopping really works. And I also have used a chop wizard. This is a Vidalia chop wizard. It has a small setting. It has a grate that has a smaller grooves in it, smaller holes, and then it has a grate that has a larger hole. Let me show you how. I can get it out of here. Has a larger hole. I really wish they had kind of one in between this, because I don't really like them so little like that, but I don't really kind of like them so big like this. So I wish they had a time in between. When I have onions that are probably this many today, I will probably use my chop wizard just to get the process done. I usually, this amount of onions will pretty much last me for the whole year. Now, sometimes you need a fresh onion. You just, you know, if you're making a salsa or some kind of salad or something, you need a fresh onion, a crispy fresh onion. So if I ever buy onions in the store and I just have 1 or 2, then I usually chop those up by hand. This also has a little thing that helps clean out these grooves. So you can use this to kind of clean out the grooves. And also inside here, has a little thing. It helps you clean out the grooves inside this Chop Wizard, which is a handy little tool. So don't lose your little tool. So I'm going to put this in here, and then you would place your cut onion in here. Usually, if it's a big onion, I might cut it in fours. If it's a small onion, just cut it in half, lay it in here, and then press it, and then all the onions store in here, and then you can put them in a bowl. So today what I'm going to do is all these onions are I've just cut the tops and I've cut the roots off, and all that goes into my compost bin. Now today I'm going to cut the end off and get all the skins off, and I'll save all that, and that goes into my compost bin. A lot of people say you can't compost onions, but y'all, onions are from nature. You can compost what nature has created. It will compost eventually. So I do compost my onions. Is it a huge part of my compost? No. If I was going to be putting onions in my compost every day, that would probably not be a good thing. But my compost pile is huge. It is a huge area. And so a little bit of onions in the huge part of my compost pile is not going to hurt anything. So I'm going to cut off some of these these ends, clean these up, and get them ready to chop up, and then I'll show you what chopping is like. All right, y'all, so I've gotten one of my dish pans with the onions, the ends cut off and peeled, and they're sitting in here in some water just rinsing off, and we're going to start chopping. So I'll show y'all what we're going to do. So as you can see, I still got a lot of onions to chop. So this is, if you wanted to get this product, and I'm not sponsored by this product, but it's called the Vidalia Chop Wizard. And I actually got this, y'all know me, I'm a thrift store junkie. I actually found this at a thrift store, and I snatched it up. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but just a few dollars. And it had all the pieces, parts to it. All my dish pans I bought at thrift stores or garage sales, and that is something, when you're gardening, these dish pans come in really handy. So that's one thing as a homesteader, is start looking at your thrift stores, your garage sales, to build up your inventory of the supplies that you need, because the right tool will make the job so much easier. One handy tip that I wanted to tell y'all is, after we finish chopping this, and even just after peeling these onions, my hands smell like onions. But the way to get that off of there is, an old trick, is to take a stainless steel spoon and rub the stainless steel spoon under some water, some running water, and just keep rubbing, rubbing, rubbing. And you will get rid of your onion smell on your hands. They actually make, like if you go to a kitchen store, they make bars that are stainless steel to do the same thing. But if you have stainless steel spoons in your silverware drawer, you have what you need to be able to do that. So that's just one of those little handy tips that you learn from your grandmother and stuff. Okay. All right. So let's get chopping. So I have a cutting board here. As you can see, these are some of my medium size, I guess, onions. This is kind of like, just a small, nice little medium. This, in the grocery store, this would probably be considered a small onion. And then this, I have little small ones up to here. But that's the thing about, some years I have big onions and some years I have small onions. This year I planted this in my brand new raised bed that I just started cultivating. So my soil isn't as good. I haven't amended it enough with the compost and stuff. I'm still trying to build up this bed. So that might have had some contribution to my onions not being as big as they normally are. But some years I just have good onions and some years I don't. But there's some that are this, I have some good sized ones there. I have several of those, nice size. So I have all sorts of sizes. So I'm just going to cut this in two. Put this on my Vidalia Chop Wizard. There you go. Easy as that. And it will make quick work of all these onions. Especially these small little onions. I didn't tell y'all the variety of onions that we grow here on our homestead. It's called Aggie 1015 onions. They're kind of a sweet Vidalia type onion, and they are developed by Texas A&M, and so that's what we grow. It's a very common onion down here in the South. If I get a little bit bigger onion, you can, just do a small piece. All right, so kind of show y'all what I got here. So this is just a coarse chopped onion. And what I'm gonna do here is take my Ziploc bag, that's just a really nice amount of onions that you would cook with. I'm going to get as much of the air out as I can. Zip lock those together. Kind of shake it down flat. And then I lay it in here in my freezer bag. Just lay it flat in my freezer bag so that my freezer bag can sit pretty flat and kind of stack up in my baskets in my freezer. I'll label this the month and the year so that I know to use up last year's onions first. I have just a little bit left out there, so this is perfect timing to restock my freezer. Also, by double bagging this, it actually makes it good for your freezer, because everything in your freezer won't end up smelling like onions. Because sometimes if you just single bag an onion and freeze it, your whole freezer will end up smelling like an onion. And my house is going to end up smelling like an onion when this is all over with, I can promise you. So that's just my little tricks that I use to store my onions. If y'all have any handy hints, we'll be glad to get those on the comments below. Y'all take the time to please like and subscribe my channel. My channel is growing. I am so thankful for all the supporters that I have out there and the new subscribers that I have. So just please like and subscribe and share my channel with your friends. So thanks for visiting with me, and I'll talk to y'all later. I got a lot of work to do. Bye-bye.